ॐ सहना भवतु सहनो भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः. So Shunam, I am making you host, okay?
Okay, sir.
So please start.
Yes, sir. So hi Ashmita, hi Payal. Today we are going to learn about the text. I'm assuming that all of us has already at some point of time have used it. Let's see how we are going to make it more convenient while we are assessing the personality of the criminal. First, let's learn about the TED itself, like what is TED.
Ma'am, could you please repeat? Your voice was not audible.
Is it audible now?
Now it's okay, ma'am.
Okay. It's not showing me the option of search. Okay, it is. Let me just share the screen. Are you able to see the screen?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So we are going to learn about the thematic apperception test. Before I start, I would also like to know about your knowledge about what TED is. First, let's start with what is apperception. Hi, Ashmita, would you like to give a go to define the apperception?
Ma'am, I'm not very sure about this, but a perception is how an individual perceives one thing. When it is not an objective perception, it is a subjective perception of something that is very individualized.
So you are talking about perception, right?
A perception, yes, ma'am.
No, I'm talking about apperception.
Like just perception.
No, apperception. Like as you can see on the screen, thematic apperception test. I would like to know the meaning of this middle word.
Oh, ma'am, I was talking about that only.
Okay. So what you have defined is like individual collection of individual perception of what they are thinking, what they are getting out of any situation, right? Is it so?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, but a perception is little different in the idea of how you perceive it and how you make sense of the situation, right? A perception is basically when a person makes sense of any situation. Okay. A perception is when a person makes the sense of any situation by the already existing ideas in their mind. For example, um, you are driving on road, you have driven for the first time, you are like driving for the first time, and then when you are seeing, when you are driving, you are having of one very unique experience which is happening to you for the first time. right? But when you are going to drive it for the second time, third time, or how you are going to overtake or everything, or perceiving the road itself, you will perceive it with your already existing uh, knowledge, right? It will not be the first time experience. You will perceive or make sense of the situation by already experienced uh, driving, for example. So that is what we call a perception. We make sense of things with the things which we already have in our mind. We have already experienced. So it's not uh, the first time experience of anything. So that is what we are looking for in thematic apperception test, where we already have some kind of schema, some kind of experience inside us, but we are either very adamant of not acknowledging the particular thing, or we are very ignorant, or we do not know certainly that okay, this thing is troubling me, which is already inside me. So we are going to get it out by using some kind of test. And here we are going to use the thematic apperception test, which we normally call TAT or TAT. Got it? It's clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So thematic apperception test is, we call it thematic apperception test or TAT, is a type of projective test that involves describing ambiguous scenes, right? When we're talking about ambiguous scene, it as such does not make sense. Whenever you have a first glance on the particular scene or situation or the test that we are going to provide, it does not make sense to you in the first glance until unless somebody gives us the direction of how, how to use the test, right? So what we are going to use here, it's a projective test, which means that what we are going to do here is responding to it, which may be reveal facet of the subject's personality by projecting internal attitude, traits, and behavior pattern upon the external stimuli. That's what the projective test means. So what is inside us, our internal attitude, our internal traits, our behavior pattern, or our feelings, we are going to project it to the external stimuli. And here the external stimuli is our ambiguous scene. How we are going to project it? By describing the ambiguous scene. How we are going to describe? By the instruction uh, that are experimental as such, we say, or a psychologist guide us to, right? So we are going to give the evoke response, which may reveal our personality by projecting our feelings, our internal feelings, attitude, behavior, or our internal experiences over to the external stimuli, which is our ambiguous scenes on the cards. Popularly known as the picture interpretation technique, it was developed by American psychologist Henry A. Murray and Christina D. Morgan. So Murray and Morgan was the first one to uh, actually develop some kind of test which can be used as a projective test, which can help in knowing what is going inside the person, how is it, what kind of personality does he have, what kind of attitude does he have, by just giving the guidance of describing the ambiguous scene presented on the card. Later on, we also had the Indian adaptation of the test. American adaptation or the universal adaptation was given by Henry and Morgan, like Murray and Morgan, and Indian adaptation was given by Uma Chaudhary, who made the Indian adaptation by reducing the number of cards. We'll later on know what were the cards. Okay, we have not included. So basically, Murray has a set of 31 cards, right, in which there were some cards which were common for both the population, male and female. There was some card which was separated for boys and separated for girls, and there was one blank card. What is the utilization of it? We'll go and understand it in the interpretation part. Indian adaptation, we had a set of 13 cards where 12 cards are normal cards which have the ambiguous theme, and one card is the blank card, just like the Murray and Morgan card. We got it till now? Any question?
No, ma'am.
Okay. How does TAT work? The TAT involves showing people a series of picture cards depicting a variety of ambiguous character. Why we are saying ambiguous every time we are using the card or the external stimuli? Because as I said, in the first glance, it does not make sense to the person that what should we get out of it? How should we use it? How do we think? How do we describe it? So we are having the ambiguous character on the card, which uh, we show in a series to the particular person on whom we are conducting the TAT. Person is asked to tell as dramatic a story as they can for each picture presented, which include asking four of the main points that that is going to give us the accurate or near to the accurate personality evaluation of the person. First thing that we ask is what has led up to the event shown, what is happening in the scene, the thoughts and feelings of the character, and the outcome of the story. So it starts basically as a normal picturization where you have the opening, the middle part, and the outcome. Right. In the opening, we ask what is happening. Just describe what is happening according to you in the particular card. And then we ask, okay, you are saying this is happening. What could have led to the particular event? What is happening? What could be the triggering parts? Or what could be the event? What could be the factors that has led to the particular event? Now you also focus more on the thoughts and feelings of the character. Sometimes the person does not, sometimes you have to make more efforts in getting the person to describe the thoughts and feelings of the character, because they are more focused on getting some story. They're not focused on the feelings and characters, feelings of the character or thought process of the character. So you also have to give the guidance accordingly, where you have to say to them that okay, you have tell the story, you have a beginning, you are telling us what could have led to the particular event, but you also have to focus on the thought process and feelings. Like how does the main person feels? Who is the main person? Who is the hero? Okay, so just like any kind of film where you have hero, where you have the extra part, family members, or everything, you have a villain. So you have to ask these things. Okay, who is the hero of the story or heroine of the story? Who is the main character of your story? What is the feeling and thought of the main character as well as the characters around him in the particular environment? And then after that, you also have to look for the outcome. There should not be a hanging ending to the particular event. You have to ask for the outcome. Okay, you have said this has happened. What is afterwards? उसके बाद क्या हुआ? Right. So you also have to get an outcome. Conclusion क्या है? And sometimes you also focus on okay, you have given the conclusion as well, but एक ऐसा future scope क्या हो सकता है इसका? इसके बाद क्या हो सकता है? अभी आपने end तो कर दिया, इसके बाद लड़की क्या करने वाली है? तो एक conclusion sort of you also ask from the person. While you are conducting the TAT, there is a one particular rule that you have to get at least the story this sum up to the 150 words. Right. आपको at least minimum जो है वो 150 words you have to get in the story. Otherwise there is no point of evaluating. Maximum कितने भी हो सकते हैं, minimum आपके 150 words होने चाहिए to get the accurate evaluation. Got it? Any confusion?
No, ma'am.
Okay. The complete version of TAT includes 31 cards. Murray originally recommended using approximately 20 cards and selecting those that depicted characters similar to the subject. Now, initially, I have already explained that in 31 cards, there are 30 cards normal, one card blank. But among those 30 cards, also, there are some common cards, and there are some cards which are separated uh, for boys and girls. And here, Murray has specifically focused more on selecting those cards that depict characters similar to the subject. If it is a notion, and it is a very uh, established notion that with the situation we identify, we feel more to that particular situation, right? If we identify with the characters or the ambiguous stimuli more, we will describe it more accurately, will describe it uh, more in words, and will put more feelings in describing the feelings of the character, right? So he has recommended using 20 cards at least, or approximately 20 cards. And out of those cards also, he has focused more on using the characters similar to the subject, जिससे subject identify करे वो card ज़्यादा use करो. For example, अभी I am a girl, I identify as a girl, and I am more prone to identify or empathize with the girl situation, right? So using boys card will not get much out of me, but using the girl in the particular card or giving me the situation of the girl, it will be more beneficial to get the story out of me by using that particular card, right? So that is how you have to select the card. Some of the cards are different for male and female, while other cards being common for both, as we have already discussed. Today, many practitioners only utilize between 5 to 12 cards, often select because the examiner feels that the scene matches the client's need and situation. So it's not like a client is going to come to you and you are directly going to conduct the TAT कि नहीं भाई अभी पहले दिन आया तो पहले दिन ही TAT कर लेते. You take the case history, you have 2 to 3 sessions, and then you decide, okay, I'm not going anywhere, let me use this particular projective technique. Till like 3 to 4 sessions, you are somehow aware that okay, this person is in this kind of situation, and I think these cards will be more beneficial to use in this particular situation. So instead of using 20 cards, instead of using 12 cards, you are using 5 to 6 cards, which is exactly or nearby matching the situation of the person, so that you get more out of it. So instead of exhausting the person uh, by getting all the 31 stories, you use 5 to 6 cards. You take 5 to 6 stories and then evaluate it as per the need of the examiner. That is the today's practice. Initially they used to conduct all the tests, then afterward they started using 20 cards, afterward they started using 12 cards, and now as we have the Uma Chaudhary's Indian adaptation, we are also using either the 12 cards or the cards which are exactly depicting the situation of the person, right? So the main point is not to exhaust. Got it? Got it?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Any confusion?
No, ma'am, actually, I have performed TAT, so it's kind of revision for me.
So that is the reason we are going like in the flow, because I already know that you both have at some point of time have conducted it or either conducting it on day-to-day basis. So let's move ahead. Uses of TAT. To learn more about a person, पहली चीज, by you're conducting TAT, it helps you explore more about the person. Initially we have learned कि ये personality भी बताता है, thought process भी बताता है, attitude भी बताता है, right, feelings भी बताता है. So we are conducting the test to learn more about the person. ठीक है. अभी as I already stated that in the sometime it happens that in the counseling session you find the person is in need the person has herself or himself came to you for the particular help, but even they don't know where to go, right? How to start, which problem is troubling them. There are so many things, but what is particularly troubling them? So in that case, you can use this particular test to learn more in depth about this person and to know from where you should begin your therapy or talk or any kind of thing that you want to use with the person to help him, to help people express their feelings. As they have said, this is a very this is a projective test, right? So you are describing your internal feelings by depicting it on the external stimuli. Like you are not feeling it, the other person is feeling it, right? That is how you are using it. मैं गुस्सा नहीं हूँ, तुम गुस्सा हो, ये वाला situation आता है. So it helps the person express their feeling where they do not feel कि okay, they are the one they are telling. It's like the other person is feeling it and I'm just telling what he is feeling. To explore themes related to person's life experiences. Sometimes it also helps in exploring the life experiences of the person, what he has gone through, what he has felt. It is mostly related to the, when we are using it in the forensic psychology part, we are using it with the victims as well as criminals or the suspect, whatever you want to call it. We use it with both the parties, right? Sometimes the victim is in so much pain or so much trouble that they can't describe their own feelings. They use some kind of external stimuli to represent their feelings, right? To project their feelings, and that will give them a relief. That will give them a relief because they have explicitly said about their life experience of the event. So we use it a lot with the victims to to assess someone for psychological condition. Projective technique, we are using it for the evaluation. We are in from the starting we are using it for the evaluation purpose to know what things, what kind of things are troubling to the particular person, how is it psychological condition, so everything to evaluate crime suspects. Now, this is a very big term where we are saying, okay, TAT is a projective technique. How it is going to get us evaluate a crime suspect? Now, in the crime world, are we looking for the verification of the criminal suspect? कि नहीं इसी ने किया है, 4 सस्पेक्ट है हमारे पास, हम TAT लगा के ये चेक करना चाह रहे हैं कि नहीं इन 4 में से एग्जैक्ट वाला कौन सा है जिसने क्राइम कमिट किया, ओरिजिनल पर्सन कौन सा है. नो, TAT is not going to give you your original suspect who has committed the crime. Instead, we use it to evaluate the crime suspect to know that if the person possesses the attitude of committing this particular crime, does he have the behavioral characteristic to commit the particular crime, and if he has, then we are going to assess more. So initially we are assessing the personality of the person to know that if he possesses the characteristic to commit the crime or not, right? So we are not pinpointing to the particular person ki he is the original one who has committed the crime. Instead, we are evaluating all the people to know if they could or they could not commit the crime by assessing the characteristic they possess, right? To screen job candidates, nowadays the common practice happening around the world is that they're using these projective techniques to evaluate their job candidates as well, to know if they can function well with their work culture, to know their expectation, to know their experiences, also to know the attitude and the personality of the person. The person is more habitual to lying or not, the person is more emotional or not, will he be attached to the organization or not. So these are the things that we are using around the world. Right?
One more thing.
Yes.
In defense also, the last test is TAT is being used in defense also, because after the physical round and written round and everything, the last round is personality testing round, the interview round. So in that, TAT is performed for the selection of the candidates in defense as a military army officers also.
Definitely. It's a new practice. Not a new practice, I would say, but a popular practice among the defense officers, not only at the officer level or rank level people, but they are also
Ma'am, your
using
voice is very low actually.
it. Is it okay now?
Now it's okay. Now it's okay.
Okay. So even in defense, as Payal said it very correctly that they are using it in defense. Even in defense, not only for the officer rank people, they are using it. They are using it for all the people in their interview round, where they are shown these tests, these cards, and their personality is being evaluated on the basis of stories they say and how they represent it. Right?
Right,
It's
right.
not. Yes.
Like,
So
are
in
they able to handle the emotional situations, the war situations? Because when they are in a war condition, they are living away from their family, their wife, mother and father and everything. So are they able to handle that situation or not? How excuse me, how mentally stable or how emotionally strong they are? Like somehow in some cases they don't feel leaving that job and going back to their home place. So their emotional stability and how they can deal with the situations. So that is being checked through TAT.
yes, another thing also what they have started practicing is how do they verbalize the story they have written.
Right, right.
Yeah. So verbalizing your story also make an impact. Even not most of the people or counselor are using this verbalization technique where they make the person verbalize the story they have written. But nowadays some of the counselors or practitioner, mental health practitioner have started it. And in defense, it is already being practiced that they also have to verbalize it, and they see with how much of emotions they give it. They describe their story, their changes in the voice pattern, tone में कैसा है, ये सब भी they are also looking for these characteristics, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Shall we move on? Any other use, if there is in your mind and I have not written it here, that will be a lot of help because see, we have a lot of use of all these tests, right? बहुत जगह पे यूज होता है ये, जॉब स्क्रीनिंग में, डिफेंस में, किसी भी रिक्रूटमेंट में हो जाता है, साइकोलॉजिकल कंडीशनिंग में हो जाता है, विक्टिम का करना हो, क्रिमिनल्स का करना हो, किसी भी अपना एक्सपीरियंस बताना हो, तो एवरीवेयर यू कैन यूज इट, राइट?
Yes, ma'am. ATA is being used in many, many areas. And it's very useful.
Yes. Okay. So the cards, we have said it over time and time again. There are common cards. There are separate cards for boys and girls. Some of the cards which are separated for the boys and girls, and there is a blank card that we have in the end. Okay. Before going to the interpretation, I have two cards here, right? And because I need to also make you practice of the interpretation, which I feel there is no need to, but still we have to. I would like for you to choose between these two cards, both of you, Ashmita and Payal, and make a story. It can be a short story as well. It does not need to be 150 at this point of time, but when you are actually using it on the client or any other person, please look for the guidance or for the instruction. But right now, what you have to do is, for example, Ashmita starts from A, so she will choose picture 1, that is the boy, and Payal, you will choose picture 2, and you have to make a short story, right? I'll give you 7 minutes for it, 7 to 8 minutes to make the story.
Can I start narrating the story? Because the second picture is that picture I always used to show to my students. And firstly, every time I narrate my story, then I ask my students, okay, now you started narrating the story. And the same picture I always show my students.
And I have taken the pictures because I like to go in the sequence. So picture one, picture two, that is my choice. Ashmita, you would also like to narrate it?
Okay, the story.
Ashmita, are you still there?
Ashmita?
I'll start.
Okay, you start.
You can take your time if you have not thought
No,
of any.
Payaldi, you can go ahead. Not an issue. I'll go later.
Okay. So every time means the common story that comes into my mind after seeing this picture is there's a poor family. Father and mother are working in their field, and but they are not that much educated one. But they have that dream that their girl child should get higher education, should exceed in her career. So parents are actually working hard so that their daughter could get the best in her life. So sending their daughter to the for higher educations and everything.
Okay. So now here I would also like to emphasize.
Ma'am, your voice.
Sorry. Is it audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Here I would also like to emphasize more on the choice of word Payal has. Right? She said girl child. Right? And initially we focus more on the identification with the character. Right? Up here, if there was no the emotion that Payal has for this particular character, could it be because of the identification with the character?
Right.
That if I would have put a boy here instead of the girl, your story would have changed or your emotion would have changed. That's my assumption, not hard and fast rule, just an assumption which we make while evaluating, right? And then we confirm it with the okay. So I'll keep your story because we are going to interpret in the last while we have all our interpretation, right?
Acha, Shonam. Hello, Shonam.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
There is one test that is Uma Mukherjee. That is Indian TAT. Do you have that one?
Sir, no, I don't have right now with me, but I also have Uma Chaudhary's answers
Yeah,
in
Uma
PDF,
Chaudhary, right.
which I'll be sharing. Yes, which I'll be sharing with them. This is just for the practice here.
Okay. Now another issue, that is how we can administer this particular test, because you have administered the two tests simultaneously. So whether the successively, usually we administer the test.
I'm going to tell them the sequence, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Okay. Can we go ahead?
Yeah, you can continue.
Yes. Ashmita, would you like to tell the story?
Perhaps the picture depicts a story of a boy who wants to learn the musical instrument, the violin that is kept in front of him. But however, he realizes that learning the instrument is not something that can be accomplished overnight, and it would require a ton of practice on his end. And that is why he is currently like looking at it and trying to understand the nuances of the musical instrument before taking it up completely and learning about it.
Okay. Very nice story and nice choice of words. So, as I said, how do we actually administer it? Do we
Ma'am,
show the subsequent? Yeah. How do we administer it? Do we show the subsequent card, or we show one card at a time, or we show like first card number 1 पहले show कर दिया, card number 16 show कर दिया? Do we go like this? Payal, Ashmita, do we go
Uh,
like this?
there are some cards that are specific to male, female as well. So I think that is something that we
Yes.
have to keep in mind.
Yes. So first of all, we do not show the subsequent cards. Like एक कार्ड शो कर लिया और उसके बाद दूसरा डायरेक्ट बिना स्टोरी जाने शो कर दिया. That is not how we proceed. We show first card, okay, and initial practice is that you should sit behind the subject or your client or any other person, whatever you want to call the person on whom you are conducting. So you should first of all make the sitting in such a manner that you sit behind the person while he is telling you the story, and you should write it in the verbatim as it is the person is saying word to word. You should not use your own words to even to complete the sentence, right? Whatever the person is saying, whatever the word the person is saying, you have to write it down. What is the reason behind reason being sitting behind the particular person is sometimes it happens that the person does not say words whatever is coming to his mind when he is looking in front of you, whenever he is looking at somebody or any other person, right? For example, I want to say something very bad or something very uh, weird, which I feel that it would look weird if I say it in front of somebody, but it is coming to my mind when I'm looking at this particular card. It, if I am looking at you and you can look at my facial expression and you can look at my body language, I'll be little hesitant in saying that particular word or describing it in the manner it is coming to my mind. So, as professional practices, you sit behind the person so that he can feel free to say whatever he wants to say, to think whatever story is coming to his or her mind. That is first thing. Second thing to keep in mind is whenever you are showing, now that depend on your discretion nowadays about the choice of card you have, right? If you want to choose like 5 to 6 card as per the situation of the person, you can. If you want to conduct the whole TAT, you can, but you cannot conduct the whole TAT in one day, right? So if for example, as I said, agar if you are using the Indian adaptation Uma Chaudhary's card, there are 13 cards. So initially you will choose 6 to 7 card for day one, will give it a rest of a day or two, and then call the person to come back, right? In the meantime, he should not be aware of the rest of the cards. If I am showing him the card number one, he should not be aware of what is inside the card number two. That is the professional practice. Show him card number one, go in the sequence, right? Card number one के बाद card number two, card number two के बाद card number three, four, five, and also that depend on the card type. If it is common card for everyone or if it is for boy or girl. See, if you are conducting it on a boy, then common cards will go as it is in the sequence, and in the meantime you will also use the cards which are specifically for the particular gender. Like for example, conducting on a boy, you will use the fifth card of boy. Conducting on the girl, you will use the fifth card specifically meant for girl. And then you will go ahead in your sequence. And then in the end, you provide your blank card. Got it? Samjha?
Yes.
Agreed on this?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So now we are aware how many cards are there. We are aware how to conduct it. We are aware about the instruction which we have seen. हमें if we are going to conduct it, setting arrangement के बाद we have to instruct the person about the particular card. कि we are going to show you the card, and in that particular card you have to depict a story The story should have a main character. The story should have a storyline. It should have the feelings and thoughts of the character. You should explain what the character is feeling, the main character or the character around the feeling, and then you should be able to have the outcome of the story. So, four things we have to get from the particular story that you have to give instructions of. Story should not be less than 150 words, and it can exceed up to maximum word, no limit, but story should not have less than 150 words. So now we have the sitting arrangement, we have given the instruction, we have the story as well, which I have already taken from you. What I'm going to do now? Next step क्या आएगा इसमें? भाई टेस्ट हो गया, आप लोगों ने डेटा ले लिया, डेटा के लेने के बाद क्या करते हो?
Analyzing the data that has been received.
अभी इंटरप्रिटेशन होगा ना कार्ड का, एनालाइज करोगे, इंटरप्रिटेशन करोगे, तो that is interpreted in terms, in two terms, needs and presses, originally from the Murray and Morgan card. ठीक है, वहां से हुआ था. We also use it for the Uma Chaudhary's card. So needs and presses के basis पे we interpret the card. Needs and presses of whom? किसके needs and presses देख रहे हैं, and what are the needs and presses? Payal, would you like to describe or give a light to needs and presses?
The person, our client, उसके needs क्या क्या है, and what are the words that he or she have used while describing the story.
Yes. And presses?
उसमें वही कि उसने किस तरीके से describe किया, how he or she has described the whole incident, what are the words that he or she have been used, how he or she has described the environment, the surroundings, the user situation while he or she was describing the part.
Yes. So I'll let you know that how Murray used to instruct on interpreting the TAT. He used to focus on two things, the needs and the presses. Needs and presses of whom? The hero and heroine. Now needs that arise from the hero heroine. Hero heroine की need क्या है अभी के time पे? What they need more? What is the motivating factors हैं? जो need arise हो रही है उसके motivating factor कौन से हैं? जैसे for example, now I am in need of acceptance. I am in need of empathy. I'm in need of love. I'm in need of understanding. Okay, so this is my need, and my whole functionality is working on fulfilling these needs. And whatever the story I am depicting, somehow all the story are pinpointing to one, two, or three things that I am lacking, and I am trying to fulfill those needs. Presses are the forces uh, that is forcing me, that is actually against me, right? I am working so hard, but I cannot fulfill those needs. Why? Because of the forces that are in my environment. For example, I am in the need of understanding, but because of my own external, because of my own internal conflicts, I create such an environment that stops me from being understood by any other person, because I can't understand myself right now. So this is the force, this is my internal force that is stopping me in fulfilling my particular need. So need हो गया for which you are working, and presses हो गया the forces which is stopping you in fulfilling those needs. So Murray used to focus on these things while interpreting the TAT. And again, the choice of words you are using in your story also shows the needs and presses, right? So, for example, in the card second, the story says that they are working hard to get the girl to the school or give the best education and everything. So their need is to give their girl child the best education they can provide, right? Isn't it?
Right, ma'am.
That is why they are working hard.
एकदम.
Yes. So and first card में अपने में प्रेस ज्यादा दिखा. फर्स्ट कार्ड में द बॉय was in the conflict कि इसमें तो बहुत टाइम लगेगा, बहुत पेशेंस लगेगा. So he was thinking कि पहले मैं इसको समझ लेता हूँ कि ये मेरे लिए है या नहीं है, and then I'll work on it. Right, Ashmita?
Right.
Right. So and one more thing, ऐसा नहीं है कि आपको दोनों ही चीजें मिल जाएंगी कार्ड की स्टोरी में, ठीक है? Sometime you will find needs more, sometime you will find presses more. And if you find needs more, then you will give your analysis on the basis of needs. And if you find presses more, then you will give analysis on the basis of presses and give the suggestion accordingly कि आपको लाइफ में क्या करना चाहिए, क्या नहीं करना चाहिए. अगर प्रेसेस हैं तो उनसे कैसे डील कर सकते हैं, नीड्स ज्यादा हैं तो उनको कैसे फुलफिल करने के सजेशंस क्या क्या हो सकते हैं, राइट? नाउ वी हैव डिफरेंट काइंड ऑफ नीड्स around us. First need is needs motivated by desire for power, property, prestige, knowledge, creativity. Right? In our card second, there was need motivated by the desire of knowledge. There was somehow desire of prestige. Example क्या क्या हो सकते हैं needs के? Can you see some kind of achievement happening in the story? Some kind of acquisition happening in the story, some kind of recognition happening in the story. I'll give you a list of needs of power, property, prestige. That is your achievement, acquisition, aggression, your construction, counter reaction, dominance, exposition, recognition, and understanding. This is one kind of need. So if you feel any sentence or anything in the story pinpointing to the need motivated by desire, you will give your evaluation or interpretation based on this need. There is another need motivated by affection, admiration, sympathy, love, dependence. For example, your affiliation, your need for nurturance. For example, in my environment, I am finding somebody who nurtures me. For example, like my mother. So my mother is giving me all the nurturance, and that is why I am functioning. So I have the need motivated by the affection, admiration, sympathy, love, dependence. Got it? Another is needs motivated by desire for freedom, change, excitement, play. अभी उसका एग्जाम्पल क्या होगा? If I desire for freedom, I'll work more on my autonomy, right? You will feel in my story that somehow every time in my story, the heroine is trying to be working independent, trying to have the autonomy, trying to uh, decide for herself or himself, any character that I identify with. If it generates from the need for play or excitement, you will see I am always in the playful mode, cheerful mode in my story, the character of my story. So that is your another need. Then your miscellaneous needs come from the need for miscellaneous, which are not coming under these categories, but these are somehow the needs that has find place. For example, abasement, cognizance, blame avoidance. You are working so that nobody blames you. You are working uh, because the external or your authority has said, and you don't find any problem. So somehow you have passively submitted to the authority. You are working to express the curiosity, search, investigation. That is your cognizance need, right? So there are another needs like harm avoidance. You are working because you want to avoid any kind of harm. You are working because you want to retain something. You are working because you seek seek and enjoy the serious impressions. So these are some kind of needs which you look for into the story. You have the story, you look for each and every sentence and see, okay, what kind of need this particular person has in this particular sentence. Got it? Is it clear?
Yes, ma'am.
I have the PDF of needs and presses and every example which I am going to send you after the class. So don't worry, these are मोटा मोटा needs. ठीक है, इसके अंदर आपको कौन कौन सी चीजें मिलेंगी, I am going to send you. Okay, we are clear with the needs. Now we want to know the presses. Presses are the external force which are stopping us from fulfilling those needs. अभी अपने presses कौन कौन से हैं? Our first press is of deprivation, which is a person. First is example के लिए acquisition. A person want to dispose the hero heroine of money, property or rob him or her. अभी इसमें क्या आएगा कि every time I am working on something, the other person is taking all the credit. तो वो मेरा प्रेस हो गया कि मैं इतना फोकस कर रही हूँ फेम पे, प्रेस्टीज पे, क्रेडिबिलिटी के लिए, बट एवरी टाइम somebody else is taking it. So the force, the press of deprivation is there, right? There is also the force of retention. Sometimes what happens is the person is so hanged up onto any memory or any kind of situation or any kind of feeling that they refuse to let it go even when the feeling is hurting them. So that is also the press, the force that is stopping them in moving on. The press descriptive of an empty, alien or rejecting environment. Every time I am trying to hang out with my friends, I feel that my friends are not uh, okay with me being there. That is, I feel. So they reject me. There is some kind of rejecting environment which is forcing me to not socialize. That is another kind of press. Press of coercion and restraint. For example, somebody is forcing me to work on this particular project. He is coercing me, he or she is coercing me to do this, and I feel restrained. There is a restrainment. There is a, for example, there some companies have the bond signed with them that you can't leave before 2 years or 3 years, which which in my mind is equating to the restraining. So I have the press. I want to do so much, but I can't do because and I am bounded with this particular bond. So it's restraining in my environment. Press is descriptive of a hostile, aggressive environment. Aggressive environment, hostile environment कैसा होता है? Where we do not feel understood, where we feel that everybody is forcing their things on us. They are being aggressive to me or the heroine. So this is your hostile, aggressive environment. And if you feel okay, this uh, particular story shows that the person is being yelled upon. The person feels that everybody is putting uh, their expectation on the heroine. So it's a very hostile, aggressive environment, and it forces the person to move on to the life or do better. Press of danger, injury or death. मेरे एनवायरनमेंट में कोई ऐसा जो मुझे डरा रहा है, थ्रेटन कर रहा है, ऐसा हो सकता है एक्सप्लिसिट थ्रेटनिंग, एक्सप्लिसिट थ्रेट मिल चुके हैं मेरे को, so that will also show in my story. Press of friendliness, sympathy, respect, dependent and love. Now you see कि ये वाला तो अपना नीड में भी था, ये वाला अपना प्रेस में भी था. See, need में you are working for it, but you do not feel compelled for it, right? मिल रहा है, आप लव के लिए काम कर रहे हो, वेल एंड गुड है, बट ऐसा नहीं है कि अगर वो नहीं होगा तो आप काम नहीं करोगे. प्रेस में ऐसा होता है कि दीज आर द फोर्सेस जो आपको मूव ऑन ही नहीं करने दे रहे, लाइफ में बेटर ही नहीं करने दे रहे. सो यू हैव टू कीप इन माइंड कि नीड और प्रेस सेम भी हो सकता है. एक जगह जो चीज आपको नीड दिख रही है, दूसरी जगह वो चीज आपको प्रेस भी दिख सकते हैं. लाइक आई हैव गिवन यू द एग्जांपल कि अगर मेरी लाइफ में रिस्पेक्ट है, फेम है, सिंपैथी है तो अच्छी बात है, बट नहीं है तो भी मेरा काम चल रहा है। तो मैं उस चीज के लिए काम तो करूंगी, लेकिन अगर वो चीज नहीं होगी तो इट विल नॉट स्टॉप मी फ्रॉम वर्किंग। बट एट द सेम टाइम आई फील लाइक बिना फ्रेंड्स के, बिना किसी की सिंपैथी के, बिना किसी की रिस्पेक्ट के मैं तो काम ही नहीं कर सकती। देन इट्स फोर्सिंग मी टू stop working. Then it comes under the press. Understood the difference? Is it clear? Any doubt? Okay. Then we'll move on to the miscellaneous presses. Like miscellaneous needs, we also have the miscellaneous presses. Miscellaneous presses are the presses that do not come under any of these categories, but you can also see these presses in some of the stories. Like for example, sometimes there is somebody in the environment who is more curious about the hero heroine, and because of that particular situation the hero heroine does not feel comfortable in socializing. They feel that if they go for it they'll be threatened, they'll be scared, so they are not explicit. There is no explicit danger or danger, injury or death or threatening situation, but because somebody is curious, then this threatening situation is arising. So this type of press is known as press of cognizance, where somebody else is inquisitive about the particular hero heroine. Then we have the press of luck, which always works for people. Sometimes luck is better, sometimes luck is worse, and it does not let you do anything. So that is also one of the press. We have the press of birth of offspring. For example, sometimes in cases of this postpartum depression, because of the birth of offspring, the person is not able to get the life like they used to live when the child was not there. So that is one of the press for them. Colostrum is a press where the person feel claustrophobic, restrained, feel they are in an enclosed space and cannot do anything. So this is also one of the press. So that is how we interpret our presses and needs. Got it? Now, based on these presses or needs, I would like both of you to interpret your card. For example, Ashmita will interpret the card one, which she has given the story of, and Payal will interpret the card two, which she has given the story of. Right? Because you have your own story, you need the word, you'll be able to express more what is your need and what is your preference. Got it? पहले नीड देख लेते हैं इनमें से कौन सी है, and then we'll move on to the preference. I'll give you 5 minutes for your needs. do we have the interpretation of needs?
Ma'am, in my story, I feel that like need for the first one, the need for achievement, like need for knowledge. The girl is going out and trying to get knowledge, trying to get higher education to achieve something. So need for achievement to achieve something, need for recognition, maybe because when she would be like after completing the higher education and everything, so she may be recognized in the society within others.
Okay, let me ask you a few questions. Who is the hero heroine of your story? Is it the girl? Is it the father? Is it the mother? Or the people in the environment?
No. Uh, the girl.
The girl. Okay. So you've already told me कि story में क्या चल रहा है. What has led to the particular situation?
Maybe in that place, I'm like since that's I have predicted as a village scene, so maybe in that area the people doesn't that the people doesn't support that much the girl's education and everything, that the girl will get out and get higher education, whereas the parents are fighting against the society just to educate that girl.
So is there any? We are going to go to press later on. Okay. What is the outcome of the story?
So finally the girl is getting that higher education.
Finally, the girl is getting a higher education. Okay. So in your story, my interpretation is that there is need for achievement, but there is also the positive outlook. There is a attitude of overcoming everything and achieving things. And other thing is, in the end, you know you can do it and you always get it, right?
Right.
So my outlook towards your personality or behavior or your feelings is that if you have decided that you want it, you make a plan for it or anything, and you at the end achieve it, right? So अभी थोड़ी सी story में भी we got your 2-3 traits.
Right.
ऐसे ही अपने को when we are conducting DAT, irrespective of the person, अगर criminal भी है, victim भी है, whatever what we have to do is we have to ask normally. इस story में पहले तो बताओ hero heroine कौन है, ताकि हमें पता चले कि वो डिपिक्ट किस पे कर रहा है. पर्सनैलिटी जो है उसकी, जो भी वो अपने एक्सपीरियंस, इंटरनल एक्सपीरियंसेस और एनी काइंड ऑफ फीलिंग ऑन व्हाट ही इज प्रोजेक्टिंग. until unless we know कि इसकी प्रोजेक्शन किस पे है, we would not be able to predict accurately. Second thing is we also need to know the feelings of the particular person on whom we is
Ma'am, your
projecting the
voice
feeling.
is very.
Is it audible?
Now it's audible. Yes.
Yeah. So feelings is also important. Like he has to also describe the feeling, what the hero heroine is feeling right now. ठीक है, उनका thought क्या चल रहा है, उनके दिमाग में अभी क्या चल रहा है, क्या feelings उनके दिमाग में चल रही है, so they also have to describe it, right? And एक outcome आना जरूरी है, क्योंकि अगर outcome नहीं आपको पता चलेगा तो you will not know कि at the end the person fight for it, lose it, whatever he do in the end, like वो क्या decide कर रहा है. Now I'll give you an example of the test I conducted on a client. In the end, he tries to end everything. Right? At the end of every card, I conducted all 12 cards on the person, and the blank card included 13 cards. I conducted all the 13 cards on the person in the time span of 3 days. And in the end, the interpretation of ending of life in general, right? So later on, I had to discuss it with him that if he has any kind of suicidal thoughts or not, right? And he described that he has not said it, but for like 1 or 2 months, he was thinking of these things. He has not explicitly thought of it, but in the end, he was thinking, ki, what is the value of life? He should end it, right? And during the sessions of 3 or 4 sessions, he has not given a single hint that he has these kind of thoughts. So why outcome is important? Because you have to know the outlook of the
Asha, asha, asha,
person.
asha.
Everything okay? Okay. So why outcome is important? Because you have to know what is the outlook of the person on the overall situation, whether the situation involves the life of any person or the situation involves any general situation, right? So that is more important. Now we'll discuss Ashmita's needs. Ashmita, will you be able to speak or?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
So my story needs are motivated by the first one, desire for knowledge and creativity, because the child wants to learn the violin. But then there is, I think, a little bit of abasement also involved in it, because he's understanding how difficult it might be, and hence he might be a bit frustrated or yeah, or in despair regarding the instrument. So I think these two needs possibly encompass the story.
So I'll ask the same questions. Your hero is the boy, right?
Yes,
What he is thinking, we know.
yes,
Thinking and feeling, we know.
yes.
What has led to this particular person to have a desire of have a desire of learning the violin?
He wants to master a musical instrument, or maybe he saw someone playing in his family from which he wanted to learn more about it.
So inspiration is also there, right?
I'm sorry, ma'am.
Inspiration is also there.
Yes, yes.
Okay. In the end, what is the outcome?
Outcome is I was thinking about this only, that there is no definitive outcome. It's not like he has accomplished and mastered the instrument, but he is just starting to learn about the nuances of it.
So I'll get more easy with my question. Will he be able to learn or will he not be able to learn?
He'll be able to learn.
He'll be able to learn.
Yes.
Why do you think so he'll be able to learn? Don't take it as an interrogation or interview.
No, no, no,
It
no.
is, because in the end, I think you guys also clarify your questions, clarify your stories, so you can have the better evaluation.
Yeah, okay, so why I think he will succeed and learn? Because he's already taking an interest in the instrument, and he is sitting there trying to observe the different strings that are there on the instrument, about the, I don't know what you call that, the tool with which it is used to play the strings. So he is sitting there and he's observing them, and I think somewhere or the other observational learning is also slightly important in all the aspects. So that is why I think that yeah, he is going to succeed. This is just like the very first step that he is taking currently.
Okay. So very nice story and very nice evaluation also. Can I give my evaluation here? And
Yes, ma'am. Please.
if you agree to it, well and good. If you don't, then we have to evaluate more. So what I
Okay,
feel is in Payal's story, she was very determined to achieve one thing. That could be because of stubbornness or the need for achievement.
ma'am, your voice.
Okay. That could be because of stubbornness, that could be because of the need of uh, achieving anything, right? ऐसा भी हो सकता है कि उसको मम्मी पापा को दिखाना हो तो इसीलिए भी वो अचीव करने की कोशिश कर रहा हो. Here in your story, the person has the same need of achievement, but it's a very calculative move, right? He is very calculative in whatever he is trying to achieve. What I feel is that it's okay for him to take the time to see things, but he is very organized with it. He wants to take time, he wants to do it, he wants to understand it, and in that he's going to, but he's going to do it in his time pace, not very much in the rush, and he's very calculated, very organized, very calculated. In the end, both of you have the same outcome. You will be able to do it. One has a very adamant personality, very determined personality with the pinch of stubbornness. Another has the same. Another has the personality where she has a very organized way of doing things with the calculation. With she knows what she is doing. She knows the time she is going to take and everything. So this is how I have evaluated your personality traits. Is it so?
Yes, ma'am. I agree with that.
तो सी छोटी सी स्टोरी थी, बट अपने ने अगर ऐसे पॉइंट लेके किया, सारे चीज देख के किया, गाइडेंस के साथ किया, तो वी गॉट somehow the accurate evaluation, right? तो अपने को whenever we are conducting test on any person, I am saying with each and every person जिसके साथ भी आप कर रहे हो, जितने भी कार्ड आप कर रहे हो, go for these guidance that will help you in easy evaluation and also the more accurate result. So that is all. Any presses? We have any presses in the environment? दोनों की स्टोरी में अपने को कोई प्रेस दिखा?
Ma'am, I don't think there are any presses in my story.
Kyle, do you have any presses? Even I didn't see any press. So right now, because the story was too short to move all the way, this was it from my side regarding the test. What I'm going to do after this class is, because this is all for the class, I'm going to do after
Your
this class,
voice.
I'm going to send you the PPT as well as the cards and the press and read the PDF. And in the next class, you have to choose two cards, full story, and then you have to give the interpretation. The result basically. I'm not interested in the detailed thing and everything. I just want to know that you are able to identify the presses and names.
Ma'am, can I ask one thing?
Yes.
We were talking about prestige. So, as I described that the society is forbidding something, and the parents are fighting against the society to fulfill the girl's need for knowledge and everything. So, can it be act as a prestige because society is creating something means रोक रही है किसी चीज से, or restraining something?
Yes, definitely. So it can come under the press. Now we have two presses: press of coercion and restraint, right? As you said, restrain कर रहे हैं, or press of hostile aggressive environment,
Right.
right? So in which category you want to put your press?
Restrain maybe because society is restraining something.
Restraining in what sense? Is it a physical restrainment? Is it emotional restrainment? Cultural restrainment? क्या restraint है वो? Emotional है? Physical है? कैसा है?
It won't be emotional, it won't be physical because like it's kind of cultural thing ki लाइक इतना लड़की इतना पढ़ लिख के क्या करेगी, आखिर में तो वही चूल्हा चौका एंड घर संभालना है, तो आप अपनी बेटी को इतना क्यों पढ़ा रहे हो टाइप. So that type
Now
of
there is a catch. It can be both the presses. It can be the press of restraint you can put, and it can also be the press of hostile, aggressive environment. Because ultimately, explicit comment you are getting, which is making your environment hostile and aggressive,
Right.
and in a
Right.
similar manner, they are restraining the all society from doing it. Not only you, but others also. Right? So both the presses can come. So that is why I'm giving you the assignment of I'll send you the cards. You have to choose 2 cards. That is just for assignment purpose. That you have to choose 2 cards, and then you have to give me the interpretation based on needs and presses, along with the underlined statement that from this statement you feel that there is a need of restrainment, there is a need for love, or there is a press of danger, injury. So you have to give them. Will that be okay?
Okay.
Okay. I'm going to send you the material and we'll meet on the next class.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay.
So So this is it from my side. Hope to see you in the next class with the assignment as well.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Have a nice day. Bye bye.
Thank you.